I am a time poor working mum of three young children, so come with me as I try to declutter my house as much as I possibly can in small pockets of time over a 3-day period. So, the first day is a Saturday morning. My husband has taken my boys out to football, and I have a small window of time where I'm going to try to declutter as much of our fancy dress stuff as I possibly can. So, I have my 2-year old Daisy helping me today, and obviously, she first insisted that she be dressed up as Cinderella. And I admire her here. I feel like this is the way forward. If I could dress up as Cinderella whilst I am decluttering, I would 100% do that. So once we have the Cinderella dress on, obviously we need her sparkly plastic high-heeled shoes. So once she is fully dressed and ready for the task at hand, we get started. Now, we are a family who loves fancy dress. If I say we're a family that loves fancy dress, I can't say that I go around dressing up as Cinderella very often. However, my kids really like fancy dress, like a lot, a lot, a lot. One of my kiddos in particular is obsessed with fancy dress, and then the other two are like quite into it, and I feel like maybe more into it than they might otherwise have been if it had not been for their sibling and like how hyped up that sibling gets, and then they all get really hyped up for the fancy dress. So we love the fancy dress. They get dressed up every single week. So it's 100% a toy, if you call it that, or a category of toys that they do enjoy on a weekly basis. However, we've got a lot. We previously had a fancy dress stand, like a hanging stand, and I had little hangers and I used to hang everything up there. That was a disaster because if they could not instantly find the outfit that they wanted, they pulled all of the outfits out. And then I would be spending time, like most evenings, hanging them back up because they were incapable of hanging things on hangers. They still can't hang things on hangers, like it's something they just have not got the knack of yet, but they are also 6, 5, and 2. So I probably couldn't hang anything on a hanger at 6 anyway. So there we go. Most of their clothes, like their day-to-day clothes, we have in drawers. We don't actually hang much stuff for them anyway. So the hanging situation was a disaster. We changed up our toy storage for the 2 Kallax units we have behind this sofa. You can't really see them in this video, but we have 2 Kallax units, and 5 of the boxes are dedicated to fancy dress. That's quite a lot of boxes of fancy dress stuff. But even then, they were very full. So what this means is my kids still pull out like practically every box and they empty them out until they find the outfit that they want. So there's no difference in terms of them pulling a load of stuff out. However, it's a lot easier for me to put it back in because we literally just chuck it back in. So we're just throwing things back in. I'm not folding them. I might pull things that are like inside out back the right way, but I just chuck them back in the boxes. And that works fairly well. But though I would say it's got a bit disorganized. There was some organization in that we tried to keep like outfits together. And then if an outfit had several different parts, we would keep those in the same box. But that has become quite jumbled up and they're just a bit too full so that they can't rummage in the cubes very easily to find an outfit. And I want them to be able to, as much as possible, like have a rummage around in the box, see firstly, can they like easily spot the outfit? And you know what? I'm all right with them pulling stuff out if they can't find it, if it helps them to find it themselves, as long as they get in the habit of putting them back in the cubes themselves. And we're getting there with that. We're gradually getting there with the tidying up. So we have way too much stuff here. And my method for decluttering things like toys, fancy dress, because it's an area of the house that I struggle with. I struggle to get rid of the kids' toys, and I worry that they will want them again. I did have a bit of a boo with this recently, in that I had decluttered a toy that my kid asked about. I had quarantined it for quite a long period of time. So this is one of the strategies that I'm using when it comes to things that I struggle with, is that if I'm not sure, I will put it in a box or a bag, put it in our loft, which is the only real like storage that we have in our house. We don't have a garage or a big enough shed to put things in. So put them in the loft and then forget about them for like say 6 months, revisit. And if they haven't asked for the item or we've forgotten about it, then I will donate it. So we also have a fair bit of Playmobil, and I have Playmobil like on a bit of a toy rotation as well in our loft. So I had the Playmobil away. I took all the Playmobil out recently, and then there was one kind of Playmobil toy that I was like, they have not asked for that, they have not wanted it, they have not played with it for months. So I am going to put it in a charity shop, and I did that. And literally the next week, my son said to me, "Oh, we have that like Jurassic boat Playmobil, don't we? Where's that?" And I couldn't bring myself to say I've got rid of it. So I told a little white lie and I was like, oh yeah, we do. I wonder where that is. I mean, it's gone. I know where it is. It's in the British Heart Foundation charity shop. Probably gone by now. So I felt really bad about that. And I will be honest with him, but I wasn't quite ready in that moment. Like I hadn't prepared for it. So I will be honest with him in time. If he asks for it again, I will be honest with him and tell him I've made a mistake. He'll probably demand that I buy it again and I won't. However, I don't want that to happen when it comes to anything really. I don't want to make a mistake. So what I am doing is I'm going through the fancy dress and I am piling up things on the sofa of the fancy dress clothes that I know they love. So they're stuff that they're using most weeks or months. They really enjoy, and I've seen them wear recently. They're wearing regularly. It's a no-brainer, right? So the no-brainer stuff is going up on the sofa. And then I'm sorting things into piles on the floor. So one pile of, we absolutely don't need this anymore. We can declutter this. It can go from the house right now. And then another pile of, I'm not sure, or like I feel like they could declutter it, but I think that the kids might argue and disagree with me, or perhaps it would be nice to have things when it comes to like World Book Day and we have a little bit more option wise, or we might want to rotate in and out of our collection. So the kind of, I'm just not sure, we're going to quarantine it in the loft. And that could potentially, when it comes to fancy dress, be a big category for us. Like I know my son's enjoyed wearing the Oompa Loompa costume in the past, but he has not worn it for several months. However, could an Oompa Loompa costume be quite cool for a World Book Day or something like that? Yes, it could. So we're going to like quarantine that, put that in the loft. And then there are some other fancy dress costumes that we were gifted by my sister fairly recently. And the kids wore those at the time. They like really enjoyed the fact that they had new fancy dress stuff. They tried everything on. They wore it for like a good week or two. And then they have not worn them since. And I think that's possibly because those outfits weren't outfits they were like, they had requested, were really into. Most of the fancy dress stuff we buy is because they have specifically requested something. So my son recently was gifted for his birthday a ninja costume. When he had been doing, his list of things he might like for his birthday, he really wanted ninja costume and swords. And so some of our friends got together and got him that costume. He has worn it a lot. It's something he really wanted. He got it for his birthday and he's wearing it a lot. But when it comes to stuff that we're gifted, that stuff, someone else's kid really wanted, requested. They wore it a lot. They loved it. And our kids are just maybe not into that, such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costume. My kids have like I put the program on like once and they didn't really get it. They were not that into it. They haven't requested to see it again. We're not Ninja Turtle fans in our house. So they're not going to love the outfit. However, we do have a lot of fancy dress stuff at my kids' school. They always want fancy dress stuff because with lots of kids wearing it, stuff gets ruined pretty quickly. So they always want new stuff. So this is the stuff that we decluttered. Now this is speedily filmed, right? Because the door went and my boys came home basically. So I had to scoot that stuff into a bag as quickly as possible. But I want to show you what happened because I hadn't finished my task entirely. There are a couple of things in the quarantine pile that they requested back out that I pulled back out. And then I started to pack everything away. I thought I had filmed them for a little minute while I was doing the kind of tidying away, but I hadn't. So what you saw there was one of my sons dressed up as a guard, Queen's Guard, or King's Guard as it is now. And he, so as soon as the kids got home and saw their favourite stuff on the sofa, they were instantly like, yes, we're going to dress up as guards, we're going to get some guns, and we're going to go play with the neighbours' kids out the front and show them our outfits. And they played with the fancy dress stuff happily for a good hour. So they do play with it a lot, they do love it, they do get a lot of wear out. I have now categorised it all so that we have all the kind of guards costume together in one cube, and we have other kind of like things together, all of the Harry Potter stuff together, etc. So I'm very happy that we also have a much better system. Now, this is Monday, I believe this was. So yes, Monday. So we had a whole day where I wasn't able to do any decluttering. We were out for the day for a family day. And then Monday, I had a day of annual leave. We had an inset day at my school. Took the boys to see the Minecraft movie in the morning. I think it's on its like last week in the cinema. But I have to say, if you've not seen it, it was really funny. I found it really funny. I'm not into Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft. The boys like it. I'm not into it. But I did enjoy watching it with them. So we've done Minecraft, we have done a few activities, and now they are having a bit of chill time downstairs. And they were in and out and up and down the stairs. I was getting them things, answering queries, etc. I took my timer up for this, but you may have noticed I forgot to set it. So normally I would set my timer, and I intended on setting my timer for half an hour for this task. And I think it took me 25 minutes in terms of my footage. So it took me 25 minutes. I like having a timer, but actually, it just have juggling things around the boys meant I was just too busy to set one. And that was fine because I had that fact that the boys needed me, in my mind all the time while I'm doing this task. So this is my daughter's room. We were gifted a big bag of clothes from a friend who has a couple of girls who are older than my daughter. So she's been handing down stuff as her daughter, as her youngest, grows out of it, which is awesome. We love hand-me-downs. We've used a lot of hand-me-downs, especially for nursery. So, if it's already been through one or two kids, then I don't mind so much if it gets ruined. One thing is that my friend's youngest daughter, although she is just about to turn 4, my daughter is nearly 3. So there's a good year between them. My daughter seems to have shot up recently, and she's getting quite tall. My friend's daughter is quite petite. So that means actually they're starting to overlap a little on sizes. And it means I know some of this stuff will possibly not fit her. There are a couple of things, a couple of t-shirts I thought it's just not going to fit her already. My daughter has gone into like age 3 to 4 stuff. So where there were 2 to 3 stuff, it's not going to fit her. Things like swimmers, these beautiful swimmers here. My daughter, when she saw them in the top of the bag, instantly wanted to try them on. Like, I know she loves the look of it. She's going to love wearing it. But we have some swimmers that we bought for our recent holiday. So I want to make a decision basically. What do I keep? What do I gift on? I have a friend who has a much younger daughter who's not quite 1 yet. And so there's stuff that I can pass on again. So I'm doing both. I'm going through looking at, will it fit my daughter now? Do we need it? And then also, is it within season? So I have another set of clothes on the side, which is stuff that I think, yes, we want to keep, but it's either a little bit too big for her or it's not in season. So it's ready for the winter. And I have a tub of clothes up in our loft for winter stuff ready for my daughter. And I will put stuff in there. So I'm going through now her drawers and looking at things that she might have grown out of within the drawers. So what I want to do, I'm going to make sure when I'm taking a bag of clothes in from a friend, that a bag of clothes the equal size or greater leaves the house at the same time, so that we are getting rid of slightly more than preferably what we are taking in, so that we keep on top of the clutter. So going through the swimwear that she has in her drawer and choosing, there are some things, items that aren't quite as nice as the stuff we've been gifted on that I can pass on, or perhaps it's a bit small or whatever that we can gift on there. And I'm getting rid of nappies because we potty trained over the last few months. My daughter's doing really well. So we have night nappies, night pants as we call them, that we have, and then the actual nappies. I'm getting rid of them, bar a couple that I put in her little dolly basket she has behind the chair, because she likes to put her giant panda teddy in a nappy occasionally. So we need some real life big size nappies for that. But I don't want to keep loads of them, and we absolutely don't need the regular nappies anymore, thankfully. So we have like 2 large drawers of kind of current clothes for my daughter. We have no hanging space for her. Everything that she wears is in the drawers. And roughly speaking, this drawer that I'm working on now on the left, we have her nursery and preschool clothes plus all of her leggings in there. So all of the leggings that she has and nursery stuff as well. And then it just makes it easier for whoever's getting her dressed in the morning. If it's a nursery day or it's a preschool day, they can open up that drawer and know that anything in there can basically get trashed. That's okay. And honestly, the picture we had from nursery recently, and they had a full body painting day. I don't know. I've never seen so much paint on a child, and also in the nursery staff. It was unreal. But also just goes to show you how things get ruined. Like I had to think that there's a lot of clothes in here for one child, given that there's 2 large drawers like this with clothes in. However, it is amazing the amount of stuff that gets like trash. Some of it can be salvaged, some of it is worn when it's stained. If it's a pair of pink leggings, got some paint stains on, like it'll do for, a couple more turns. But it gets to a point when the stains are just so significant, you think, I cannot send my child out into the world dressed like this, even if it's for nursery. And so then on the right hand side, we have the smarter stuff there. On the whole, it's also a good signal for my husband if he's getting her dress. He's perhaps not as particular with clothing or wouldn't look at something and think, is this a nice thing or is this a nursery thing? He will say to me, I have absolutely no idea. Unless it is in a particular drawer, then, I don't know what to do. So if it's in the left drawer, he knows he can put her in it for nursery. If it's in the right hand drawer, he knows that it's the smarter stuff that I might want to save for weekends, holidays, nicer occasions. And then what we do as the kind of nicer stuff, perhaps as my daughter starts to outgrow some of the nicer stuff. So we start to get to the point you think, I'm not going to have much wear left in this nice dress, but there still is plenty of wear left in it. My daughter's not going to fit it anymore soon, so I might as well just chuck it in the nursery drawer so that she can get more wear out of the nicer stuff at nursery. So we get to the point where like, go on, do you know what? Just wear it anyway, because it's better to get the wear out of it than it is, not to have done. But then also I do have other, little girls, a couple of little girls, my friends, who I can pass things on to. Oh, I'm also looking for when I'm going through her drawers, if I do have hand-me-downs from my boys, anything that is, denim or fairly neutral coloured. We don't try to gender stereotype our children. It's not a case of that's blue, you can't wear it because you're a girl, or that's pink and you can't wear it because you're a boy. My sons have had pink chino shorts and been mistaken for girls when they were toddlers as well, given some of the colourful outfits that I put them in. So we don't gender stereotype. However, my daughter is, I would say, very girly. Like she loves pink. She often refuses to wear clothes if they're not pink. She loves rainbows. She loves unicorns. She loves glittery clothes. She loves sparkles. I think you can tell by what I'm wearing, I'm not particularly like girly. I do like dresses. I do like colour. I like colourful clothing. But I'm not like, I must have these pretty pink dresses, etc. So it's just what she's basically gravitated towards. So because that's what she likes. If there are things, if I find myself thinking, well, I've got a lot of boys hand-me-downs here, but then also loads of lovely, more girly stuff, then why keep the boys hand-me-downs? So I'll pass some of that on. My son is basically playing a game with me here, which is he's tying ropes around things, trying to tie them in tricky knots, so that I can't undo them. And then I am like having to try really hard to undo them. And I was teaching him a magic trick that my friend's dad taught me when I was a child, that I have remembered for like forever. You basically knot a string or a rope around someone's finger, and then you fold it like kind of in a particular form, a particular way that you can remove the rope from their finger without there being a gap. And it's a really cool trick. It's an illusion at the end of the day, rather, but it's really cool, and I've always remembered it. So it can be absolutely quite stressful to try to declutter and clean around children, but I generally try to take a quite relaxed approach, in that, if they want to play a game with me, whether that's fancy dress or whether it's making, knots in ropes or whatever, then I will take the time to try to engage as much as I can whilst I'm doing the task. Even though I would admit to often feeling very much like, I'm in the zone here. I decided I'm going to declutter. I've got my head in that space and I just want to get on with it. Please leave me alone. I will not say that. And find that overall, I feel much better for giving them the time and space to play and be with me as well. And so that they, feel included and also are aware of what I'm doing. Like I talk to them about what I'm doing. So I explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So even though they might not be doing it with me, they're playing a game alongside me, hopefully they grow up understanding what it takes to keep on top of clutter in a home, because that is something that I very much struggled with when I came to owning my own home. So I'm hoping that they will understand that a bit better, because I think all humans, when we have things, we generally do struggle to part with things. We like to have as many things as possible and we amass things. And I think what I see of my friends, of my family, of my colleagues, we all seem to be more of that ilk, than I know far fewer people who live a more minimal lifestyle. And I want my kids to understand that whilst it's nice to have lovely things, there also is, you have that responsibility to care for those things. So this is everything that I decluttered when it came to clothes. This will all go on to other families, other children. Will make good use of those. Also, we have the nappies that we got rid of there. And I was really happy actually. I feel like that is slightly more than what I got in to the house. And I can 100% do more when it comes to decluttering my daughter's clothes. And I will, in the fact that, every few weeks I will go through her drawers and I will pull out a few things which are just too damaged or grown out of, and then I put them to one side to get rid of. I always have a bag of stuff under my stairs of clothing that I can pass down to my friends, little girls as well. So this is our final day of decluttering. I look like I am wearing the same jumper. It looks like the same day, but it's not. It's actually the next day. And this is the end of a working day. I'm solo parenting for a lot of this week. So Sunday tea time, my husband went to his mum's. She had a hip replacement on Friday. She came home on Saturday. She's doing really, really well. But he is staying with her for a little while in order to help do some caring tasks and help her out around the house while she recovers. So solo parenting, and I have to say, I definitely feel the impact of it. Like the tasks that my husband would do, I would say, we are perhaps not equal, because I do prefer to do some more of the home tasks myself. My husband tends to work slightly longer hours, I would say not through necessity. It is partly a choice. He's a civil servant and he feels he's very passionate about his job, and it would basically, he work all night and it will never end, whereas I refuse to spend that long working. So he tends to work longer hours than I do. And then I tend to do a bit more around the house. Decluttering certainly isn't his thing. He is more of a hoarder than I am. I definitely would say that I struggle with stuff. He perhaps struggles with stuff a bit more than I do. So I don't think he would take on many of these tasks, and that is absolutely fine. But I felt like the fact that if this was a regular day and I was doing decluttering, then my husband probably would have done like the washing up at the end of the day, or, we do share putting the kids to bed. So when we're both around, we share putting the kids, one of us will do the boys, one of us will do my daughter, and then we swap each night. So I'm pretty tired, but I wanted to finish this. And this particular bit of decluttering here, this is the kids, all the colouring books, all their workbooks, all their pens and pencils, stickers, all that stuff. We have 2 drawers dedicated to holding these kind of categories of equipment and toys. And this is what I really wanted to declutter. So I started with other stuff that I could get to easily on those days, and I wanted to do this. I wanted to get on top of this particular area of the house, because it has been a struggle. There is no more room left in these drawers. I had a few comments in some of my recent tidying up videos where people were like, your house is giving you massive hint as to where your clutter is, and you literally cannot shove any more in those drawers. Some were more polite than others, but I wholeheartedly agree with the comments. And I do think that sometimes it can be useful to actually see that feedback in black and white. And it made me chuckle in a nice way that I totally 100% need to declutter those drawers. I absolutely can't fit any more in them. I have decluttered them before, but it is an area of our house where we get quite a lot in. So if I go to a conference or something and somebody is handing out a notepad and a pen, I pick one up. I don't just pick one up. I'll pick up my colleagues as well, so that I can give the kids one each. They love practicing the handwriting, doing drawing pictures, pretending that they're in business meetings and writing notes and all that stuff. They love a notebook and pen, and I love a notebook and pen. Like, who doesn't like stationery, honestly? But we have a bit too much of it. But they do use it a lot, so which is why you often see me shoving things in the drawers and one of my cleaning videos, because it's something I would say almost daily. One of the kids is going to have some pens and a notepad out and going to be doing something. But we did have some order in those drawers, in that one drawer was more of their kind of workbooks, handwriting books, lined notepads, and their pens and pencils. And the other drawer was sticker books, colouring pencils, and that sort of thing. But I have found lately that they have become quite jumbled. So where the kids have wanted to like make a card for somebody, and then they've just been putting out stuff from each drawer, and they want coloured paper from one drawer, but they want some pens and pencils from another drawer, and then they've got like quite mixed up. So, in part, I want to reorganize them, but I also want to have a good look at the pads and see, are there many pages free for them to use up in these notepads? Are they mostly done? Do they have magazines that they're not using? Kids' magazines, I hate. Tell me if you feel the same way. They are overpriced. You want to spend like £5 for a magazine in a shop. It's going to have a bit of plastic toot on the front of it that is your kid is going to look at for all of 10 minutes. It's probably going to break within an hour. It is utterly useless, and they are not going to do anything with the magazine. So my kids don't do any of the games in the magazines. They might use a few of the stickers if they come with stickers. They don't read the magazine. It is the plastic toot on front of the magazine that they are most excited about. And I would much rather spend £5 on an actual toy that will have a longer lifespan. And it really frustrates me. I absolutely hate it. I mostly refuse to buy magazines. Occasionally, my husband will treat them to a magazine, or a friend or family member will treat them to a magazine. And, they do love them. It is very exciting, but it's a very fleeting amount of excitement for that sort of money. I don't think it's worth it. I'm anti magazines. But we have a few magazines where I think, maybe I'll convince them to do the word puzzles in the magazines, and we'll just pop them in this drawer with the colouring books. And there they will end their lives not being looked at and languish in the bottom of the drawer. And I will come to declutter and wonder, why have I bothered putting this in this drawer? So that's what happened there with quite a few of those were magazines. We have workbooks as well for homework and handwriting practice and that sort of thing. So I'm organising everything into piles. So I think it can be quite overwhelming when you're like emptying drawers like I did at the start there, and you've got what looks like just a whole heap of crap. But I like to take a breath and I start to think categories. So I'll just pick up the first thing. Right, is it rubbish? Does it have life left in it? Are we keeping this thing? And then what category would it live in? And then it just becomes clear as you start to go through things, you start to go through categories. You might end up with 30 categories, and then you can consolidate them into bigger categories once you actually see what you have. So that is my tip. If you have a lot of stuff and you start to feel overwhelmed, it's just pick up one thing at a time, make a decision about whether it stays or goes, and then start some categories. And as you go along, things become clearer. Now, in an ideal world, I'd like to have gone through their pencil cases, try out all the pens, and check out the Duff ones. But I think that's going to be, I did start to do that at one point. I got rid of a couple of highlighters, but then I thought, do you know what? This feels like a job for the kids. I can give them their pencil cases, say, right, here's a piece of paper, try every pen, and then the ones that aren't working anymore, pop them in the bin. I mean, that's clearly a job for the kids. So I try to get them involved and get them thinking about what they're using and not using. And, is there a pencil sharpener which doesn't work as well as another one? And we'll get rid of them. I've kept all the little rubbers, even though there are a lot of rubbers, and I feel like I could bin those because I think rubbers are also kind of like partly functional, partly toy. And there's some of them are really cute and they really love them. So I will leave them to decide. I will say that this took me longer than I expected. It actually took me half an hour to do this task, which isn't masses of time at the end of the day, but it is quite a lot at the end of a working day to squeeze into your evening. And I probably, so let's think about it, it was half an hour for this particular task. It was just under half an hour to go through my daughter's clothes. And then I think we spent around about 40 minutes on the fancy dress, maybe 45 minutes. So for over 3 days, just under 2 hours spent decluttering three different areas of the house. And yeah, that's not bad going, I think. I will try to do this basically going forward, carry on doing different pockets of the house. I did start doing a declutter roulette, and I still have areas of the house in my little bag of decluttering roulette areas to tackle. But I kind of lost steam with that. I think for me, it was fun to try something new for a while, but clearly what works best for me around work and the kids is looking at areas that are feeling particularly overwhelming at the time, but also where can I tackle, and like what do I have the energy for? What do I have the time for? Because sometimes it's the evening and it's after work, and I am restricted to do decluttering downstairs or in my own bedroom. I can't tackle anything in the kids' bedrooms or anything that's particularly noisy, and I don't have lots of time. So I have to think really hard about what will make the biggest impact and what I have the energy to do. This felt like a really good one for me on this particular night. I had the TV on, which is just above me. That helps as well. You can have something keeping you occupied. You feel like you're multitasking, you've got a podcast on or the TV on or something. So that was helpful. And it felt really good here to free up these drawers. And I know that my kids, when they next go to get a notepad and pencil or a sticker book, will find it a lot easier. My 2-year-old asks for stickers all the time. Like, she loves stickers. But I also feel like because she definitely is in a period of time where she's loving the stickers, that this is a good time to use some of them up. So, and just get her, making a sticker picture or sticking them all over me. Stickers were great when we went on holiday. I put stickers in our, like, we call it a nappy bag, so no nappies in it anymore, but the nappy bag. And she basically stuck stickers all over my t-shirt. So I am putting a few activities, just a couple, onto our trays that we have of the work that we use most days, so that I can encourage the boys to use up some things. So we've got some just a couple of brand new colouring pads there that they have not shown any interest in. They've been in there for a long time. I'm going to give to our nursery, and they will use them absolutely. And then this is all of the trash. These are all of the colouring books that are almost entirely used up, or they're not interested in, or work pads that are used up. So that was a big amount of stuff to come out of 2 reasonably small drawers. And let me show you how much better they are now. Like, we've got actual space here. They can lift things up and get to that. If I don't want that notepad and I want a different notepad, they can get to it without disturbing the whole drawer. And then we have all our colouring books and our stickers and colouring paper in here, and a few pipe cleaners. So I'm so pleased. I feel like I got rid of so much over those 3 days. I will see you in the next one. Bye.